Happy days. We're going to be reading from 1 Kings, I do believe, chapter 18 today. We have a little bit of scripture, and then I'm talking about anxiety today. Anxiety. Silencing anxiety. Who'd love to know the tricks to that stuff? Anyone interested in that? Come on. You know, if I was like super honest with you today, I'd say I was a bit worried during the week. Well, actually, no, let's put it slightly differently. I was super anxious during the week. It got to Monday, and I started getting weirdly anxious for some weird reason. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know what was going on. I just felt like there was something wrong. And then I got worse and worse throughout the week, to the point in which I'd probably go as far as to say I may have had somewhat of some sort of anxiety, not attack, but like I was short of breath. I was like, my heart was beating really fast. Felt like I couldn't like take a full breath, and I was like really like I felt really anxious. You know, I felt like, man, and it seemed like everything around me was like going to pot, and I was like, man, this is rough. And I came home early from my holiday, and I went home and I sat down in the lounge and I thought I was going to go sleep for a little while, and that didn't go particularly well, so I couldn't sleep. And then whilst I was at Butlins, the room during the evening was cold, so I put the heating on, but then it was too hot, so I opened the window, and then the ducks just wouldn't let me sleep. It's one of those weird holidays. I didn't seem to sleep any night at all. The bathroom light, when it came on, was brighter than the sun, and so whenever anybody went to the toilet, it was like the sun blinded me. And then I was like, the fan in there was like super loud. I'm not sure if you've ever been to Butlins or some other hotels and stuff, and there's like an extractor fan in the hotel room, in the what do you call it? What's that thing called? The bathroom. And this fan was like a train, constantly. It was loud, and so I just could not get sleep this week at all. From Monday through to Thursday, Friday night, I think I had a good night's sleep. And by Saturday I was just so worn out by it, and I just couldn't work out why. But who knows that sometimes God takes you through something so you can like minister to people that are going through the same. I've never really been anxious as a person, never really suffered with depression, never really gone through any of that sort of stuff. And so sometimes, believe it or not, I can be a bit insensitive towards it. Anyone else like that? You know, when you go, just get over it. Is it, you know, those people out there that are depressed and anxious, have you ever been told, just get over it, you'll be all right tomorrow? You ever been told that? And you think, but you don't know what I'm going through. Well, I think the Lord showed me what you're going through this week. From Monday through to last night, I had a good night's sleep, a really good night's sleep. And I was still a little bit worried, believe it or not, because I thought, I don't really feel like worshipping. I don't really feel like being around everybody. I don't really feel like preaching. And what's more, I don't feel like God's telling me anything I should preach about. And as you know, I've been going through this season since about February of just preaching whatever God says at the time. And then last night, I was laying in bed, in typical fashion, Saturday night, laying in bed, thinking, oh no, I feel like I'm going to just fake it tomorrow. That's what I've got to do. I've just got to swallow the pill of, just getting on with it. The show must go on. I thought, should I ring Harry and get Harry to preach? And I thought, oh no, I can't do that. It's way too little time for him to preach. And I said to Laura, actually, on the way home, I said, Laura, I feel like I should just let Harry and Malcolm know that I think I might have had some weird sort of anxiety and like attack or something during the week. Because I want to be held accountable to these guys, you know what I mean? They're my leadership team, so... and I was going to sit down and chat, and I thought, there's nothing wrong just saying in church, is there? So, hey church, guess what? Pastors are sometimes not as hard-going as you think you might be, Anyway, so, essentially, I'm sitting there last night thinking, what am I even going to do tomorrow? And I'm starting to feel a bit anxious again. I'm just going to have to fake it. Let me just say, I entered into worship this morning when we switched on the sound, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa! And my life just went like that, I can't explain it to you. That first song that we sang to that Holy Ground, I'm not sure if we can put some of the lyrics up there. It says, it's all like, fear, fall, what's that? Chains fall, fear bow, here now. Fear bow, yeah, come on. I'd have some of that. And that was the first song. I'm getting goosebumps, by the way. That was the first song that came on the playlist today. Like when we were sitting at church, and I just felt like, man, I'm ready for this. You know, and then during the worship just then, I'm like, got my hands in the air, like, you know, when, like, if you look at me just now, if you must have run your finger down my hand, you'll be like, have you got freckles? And I'm just like, proper, like goosebumps all over me, you know what I mean? Like, God's here. And then I suddenly realised that God wanted me to do all this, and wanted me to see what that was like, and wanted me to come and minister to you out of a place of experiencing some sort of pain. You know what I mean? So I was sitting there last night, and I was like, oh, when was there anxiety? When's a big time in the Bible when it talks about anxiety? And I've come to this story, which I'm going to read out to you. Is that all right? So this is 1 Kings chapter 18. If you know your Bible well, then you'll know what I'm about to talk about. Let's have a look. Where am I going to read from? I do believe it's about verse 20. I'm going to read a nice long bit of scripture. I might even read a little bit less. Let's just read the whole lot. So Ahab, who was a king, okay, Ahab sent word throughout all Israel and assembled the prophets on Mount Carmel. Elijah, by the way, was a famous prophet, went before the people and said, How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. If Baal is God, follow him. But the people said nothing. Then Elijah said to them, I am the only one of the Lord's prophets left, but Baal has 450 prophets. Get 2 bulls for us, let them choose one for themselves, and let them cut it into pieces and put it on wood, but not set fire to it. I will prepare the other bull and put it on the wood, but not set fire to it. Then you call upon the name of your God, and I will call upon the name of the Lord, the God who answers by fire. He is God. Then all the people said, What you say is good. You'd think that, wouldn't you? What you say is good, that's pretty cool. I understand the concept of this, really easy going. Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, Choose one of the bulls and prepare it first. Since there are so many of you, call on the name of your God, but do not light the fire. So they took the bull given them and prepared it. Then they called on the name of Baal from morning till noon. O Baal, answer us, they shouted. But there was no response, no one answered. And they danced around the altar they had made. At noon, Elijah began to taunt them. Shout louder, he said. Surely he is a god. Perhaps he's in deep thought, or busy, or travelling. Maybe he is sleeping and must be awakened. So they shouted louder and slashed themselves with swords and spears, as was their custom, until their blood flowed. Midday passed and they continued their frantic prophesying until the time for the evening sacrifice. But there was no response. No one answered. No one paid attention. Then Elijah said to the people, Come here to me. They came to him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord, which was in ruins. Elijah took 12 stones, one for each of the tribes descended from Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, Your name shall be Israel. With the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord. He dug a trench around it, large enough to hold 2 seahs of seed. He arranged the wood, cut the bull into pieces and laid it on the wood. Then he said to them, Fill 4 large jars with water and pour it on the offering on the wood. At this point, let me just say, Baal is supposed to be some sort of god of water as well. So by putting water on it, you'd think that our God wouldn't be able to light it. What's more, they're in drought, so there's hardly any water left. So this is a real step of faith. Do it again, he said. And they did it again. Do it a 3rd time, he ordered. So all their water's pretty much gone. And they did it the 3rd time. The water ran down around the altar and even filled the trench. At the time of sacrifice, the prophet Elijah stepped forward and prayed, O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and I am your servant, and have done all the things you command. Answer me, O Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again. Then the fire of God fell and burned up the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the soil, and it licked up the water in the trench. When all the people saw this, they fell prostrate and cried, "The Lord, he is God, the Lord, he is God." Then Elijah commanded them, "Seize the prophets of Baal, don't let anyone get away." They seized them, and Elijah had them brought down to the Kishon Valley and slaughtered there. And Elijah said to Ahab, "Go, eat and drink, for there is a sound of heavy rain." So Ahab went off to eat and drink. But Elijah climbed to the top of the Carmel, bent down to the ground, and put his face between his knees. "Go and look toward the sea," he told his servant. And he went and looked, and there was nothing. 7 times Elijah said, "Go back." 7 times the servant reported a cloud. The 7th time, the servant reported, "A cloud as small as a man's hand is rising from the sea." So Elijah said, "Go tell Ahab, hitch up your chariot and go down before the rain stops you." Meanwhile, the sky grew black with clouds. The wind rose, and the heavy rain came on Ahab, rode off to Jezreel. The power of the Lord came upon Elijah, and tucking his cloak into his belt, he ran ahead of Ahab all the way to Jezreel. In the next chapter, something crazy happens. Ahab's wife has a little pop and says, "I'm coming after you, Elijah. I'm going to kill you." And even though Elijah's just basically massacred 450 prophets and he's brought down fire from heaven and he's done this amazing thing, suddenly he goes into a whirlwind of anxiety and he runs off and he hides in the mountains. And in this moment, I found myself thinking last night, this year's been an awesome year for Ignite Church, hasn't it? It has, hasn't it? It's been a really great year, like seriously good year. We've had like super growth. Like, and when I say that, I don't say it because we're I'm trying to make it look like we're growing. And our numbers, the growth is real, okay? And we've had really good growth. We've managed to get a contract almost there, almost signed. We're just about to do that in the next few weeks on a couple of new buildings for our church. That will be our own new buildings. We've got a new great team around us, a great team of servants who are volunteers and want to serve the church and run ministries. And amazing things have happened, and amazing things are still happening for us and our church. Just like this moment where fire falls from heaven, and it's just like, wow, a year of breakthrough. I prophesied at the beginning of the year, and we're coming towards the end of the year, and I think we've had a year of breakthrough, like a serious year of breakthrough. But all of a sudden, with the whipping up of something, or maybe it's just the enemy just feeling like he wants to have a pop, the carpet can be torn from underneath your feet. Has anyone ever felt like, I'm having such a good time, I'm having such a good year, my life is like this, and I'm going strong. Then all of a sudden, somehow, somewhere, something tears the carpet out from underneath your feet. Has anyone ever had that? And suddenly, in this case, Elijah gets anxious. He gets anxious. I think one of the things he said was, "I'm the last of all of the prophets." And then God replied to him, "Actually, sunshine, there's thousands left." Was it 7,000 or 3,000? I think it was 7,000 still left. So actually, no, sunshine, you're not the only one. But in this moment, I'm just like, there are people in this room and people across this city, across our nation who maybe have been having the year of their lives, and then all of a sudden, it's like the carpet has just been torn out from underneath you, and you've suddenly started spiraling into either depression or anxiety. And so today, let me just first of all say, I pray after my time of experiencing a slight bit of anxiety, let me just say, I pray that I don't have to go through the same with depression, because I can't imagine what you guys are going through if I felt like that for a week with anxiety. But just for now, I can maybe talk to you about anxiety and silencing that anxiety. think it dawned on me, I think it was maybe Friday night. I was laying in bed and I was like, man, I hope this ends like really soon, because Laura went through 6 months of it. Do you guys remember this? A few years back, Laura had like this heightened anxiety for 6 months, and she didn't want to drive, she didn't want to move, she had to still go to university and stuff, and do loads of other stuff and work and that. And I had to drive her to work every morning and pick her up in the evening, look after the kids, do dinner almost every day and all that sort of stuff. I loved her and I really did. But in this moment on Friday night, I'm suddenly there like, man, I'm short of breath. It feels like my heart is going to beat out my chest. Like my shoulders are achy and my head is just hurting. And I just feel like I'm thinking illogical thoughts, you know, like that little blemish on my leg, you know. Has anyone had a little blemish on their leg ever before? You know, it just looks like a scab, but it's not quite a scab. You know, one of them, you know, it's probably just, you know, someone's pinched me or something. I don't know that, I can't remember. Who knows what it is? But suddenly, like, it could be something really bad. But it's probably not, but it could be something really bad. And you start going, oh, it is something really bad. I better check it out online. Oh no, it looks like something really bad, you know, because that picture which I've seen online, you know, because the worst doctor in the world is Google. Did you know that? The worst doctor in the world is Google, because it only tells you the worst case scenario, doesn't it? Yeah? I've got a headache, you're having a stroke. Honestly. Right, so imagine this, right? I think it was Friday night, actually. So Friday night, I go to sleep, and I'm so tired this week, so tired, that I can't quite get my speech out. I went out for a game of pool with Harry on Friday lunchtime sort of time, and he'll probably tell you I wasn't speaking very good English. Would you say that, Harry? My English just wasn't coming to me, it wasn't happening. The words just weren't working. And then on Friday night, I'm perfectly fine, but my English is failing, and suddenly I get this headache out of nowhere. And it's like the most painful headache I've ever felt in my life. It's never felt it like this even before. It's right in front of my flipping face. And the first thought that comes to my head is skewed language, big headache. That sounds like a stroke. And what's more, I am really, really stressed at the moment. I know I'm stressed. And so I lay there and I'm like, I should probably tell Laura I love her before we go to sleep, because no one's going to find me after 8 hours, are they? Like, you know what I mean? So, and I'm thinking that, I'm actually thinking that, right? And then I'm like, but Darren, you're just anxious. You're just thinking illogical thoughts. Yeah, anyone else do that? Illogical thoughts. So what I did was, I just said, you know, I said to God, whatever may be will be, I'm going to sleep and I'm going to stop worrying about this. Fell asleep straight away, not even kidding. Straight away, woke up 8 a.m. I was like, oh, I'm still alive, and my face feels normal. I haven't drooped anywhere. I think I'm doing all right. You know, like, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, for a really good-looking face, which Jane has reminded me about this morning, which is great. Thank you, Jane. But here's the thing, I just felt like something was going to go wrong. Anyone else just feel like something's going to go wrong? I feel like I'm mad paranoid. And I'm just like, what is happening here? And I was really, really scared that, you know, what if this carries on for 6 months? I can't run a church like this. You know, for me, I'm like, that's burnout. Remember that prophet last year who said, Darren, you're going to get burnt out if you don't quit something. And I gave up my business. You know, I gave up my business, right? As it happened, someone rang me yesterday saying, Darren, I'm in Lincoln, I need someone to help me out with some flooring. I said, I don't fit flooring anymore. And this moment might have been the moment that I realised I cannot fit flooring anymore. Because right now, I'm so tired, I'm so anxious, I feel like I'm going to die, and it's all going to pot. Thank the Lord that I'm not fitting flooring right now, because I think that would have been the end. You know what I mean? I think I would have just gone off the rails. That would have been it. And I'm just like, man, please God, don't let this be the end of a ministry for 6 months. I'm sure you guys could easily run it. No shadow of a doubt. But it'd be hard, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? And so, luckily for me, I have a wife who's a psychologist. Woo, yeah, go me. And so I'm like, babe, this is how I feel. And she says, well, it sounds like you're having some sort of anxiety attack or something. There's ways to deal with that. I'm like, oh, wow. Ways to deal with it. Please tell me, enlighten me, because I need to know what's going on. She said, when you feel, you ready for this? This is me telling you guys from the mouth of my lovely wife how to overcome some of this stuff. When you feel like your breath is too shallow, she said, just take control of your breathing. So this is the science behind it. Your body, when it thinks that you are under threat, it starts to feel anxious. And what it does, it pumps this chemical around your body called cortisol. Okay? Cortisol gets you ready for a fight. So it makes your blood start pumping quicker and harder. And then it makes you start breathing quicker. And then what happens is, because your body is breathing quicker and your blood is pumping faster, it says to your brain, there's an actual attack happening. We're in a fight. So quick, lob in more cortisol. Yeah? So then your blood pumps harder and your breathing becomes faster, and then it goes, oh no, we really need to sort this out. Pump more cortisol in, and then before you know it, you go, and you're having this attack. Your body's a funny thing, isn't it? She said to me the other night, she said, Darren, all you have to do is just decide that you're going to breathe slowly and deeply, and then your brain will go, oh, I misinterpreted what was going on then. There is no threat. Everything's okay. Let's just stop pumping cortisol into that body and it'll go back to normal. So then guess what happens? Your body just starts going back to normal. And the attack is soon over. Yeah? So number one, ways of silencing your anxiety. Choose to breathe and control your breathing. Control your breathing. One of the tricks Laura said was this thing, they call it square breathing. So what you do is you find a square in the room, it could be an oblong, I guess, and you count 4 seconds between each corner. And what you do is you breathe in, 4 seconds, and breathe out, 4 seconds, and then breathe in, 4 seconds, and then breathe out. And it just controls your breathing. You just start breathing normally again. So next time you suddenly find yourself short of breath, and you're struggling, and you're worried, and you're anxious, try controlling your breathing. The next thing you can do is you can try to control your thoughts. The Bible says, take captive every thought. Has anyone ever been, when I was a kid, I was in court all the time. And so one of the things I'd get anxious about going to court, right? And so I found it to be the case that if I just went, you know what, I'm not going to think about that until the day, then I wouldn't feel anxious until the day. Yeah, so I can have a good week, and then on Friday, then I start getting anxious. Anyone else learn how to do that yet? It's a good way of doing it, okay? So you put off the thought pattern. You decide to think about something else. So you could read your scriptures, you could get into some worship, you could go and have a conversation with a friend. You could even tell them how you're feeling about that particular thing. But the point is that you put off the anxiety until the day comes when actually you sort of need to think about it. Does that make sense? To my shame, one of the things that I often do is I put it off until after the event. Yeah, so there's been times before where I'll put off the anxiety until after the event, because everyone suffers of anxiety when they're leading up to something. Okay, so I will do something along the lines of, say, I'm going to preach somewhere. This has happened before. I was going to speak to church leaders in Birmingham once, and my normal way of doing things is I have a bullet point for each section of my talk. And I had done that, I'd gone with my bullet point, and then I'd arrived without thinking about speaking in front of these 150 people. And I stood there, and I looked out, and I went, there's 150 people right there that know more than me, and I'll put off thinking about this until after I've actually done the talk. Suddenly, I'm like, whoa, 5 minutes, what am I going to do? So I'm there, writing out notes in fuller form, like, oh, I need to talk about that, and that. And I went through all of my notes and just filled it in, like, what happens if I forget it, you know? And I had 5 minutes to worry, and then I had to get up and speak. And I was like, I should have maybe thought about worrying about this a little bit beforehand, so I can get it done in plenty of time. Does that make sense? But the Bible says to take control of your thoughts. Okay? It says to take every thought captive. So you have the ability to say, today I'm not going to think about court, I'm not going to think about that hospital appointment until Friday when it's due. I can do that. I can put that off. At some point, it's healthy for you actually to let yourself sit in the uncomfortableness a little bit. It's actually healthy. It builds resilience. So some of my routines, back before I was a Christian, one of the things that I certainly would have done would have been, if I felt that sort of anxiety, it meant I felt like I was being attacked, I would attack all out. I would go for it. I'd go out to the streets, I'd drink a load of booze, and I'd have a fight. And I'd have a fight with anybody. I mean, anybody. Even family. We'd just have a ruck. And then the next day it'll all be alright again with the family. And then every now and again I'd beat up some guy who I was quite scared of. And then I see him in town and they were like, uh-oh, done that wrong. But the point is that that was one of my coping mechanisms before I was a Christian. Now, here's the thing. What would have been better for me, and certainly the other night when I was feeling like, man, all I wanted to do was just shout at someone. I wanted to be aggressive, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And I saw this big red button. Has anyone ever heard me talking about the big red button of your life? Everyone has one. Some of us, it's a massive big red button, and you accidentally, when you're resting, you accidentally lean on it and you blow up. And then some of us have a really little tiny big red button, which we have to look for deliberately. Some people look for a big red button deliberately, and they go, you know what? I've decided that I'm not happy with what's going on over there. Bam! Slap! As time goes on, actually, you can learn to sort of silence that big red button as well. You can just get it out of the way and remove it from your life. But on Friday night, I was like, big red button, where are you? Where are you? I'm ready to press you. And then instead of going wild and calling everybody names and being quite aggressive, I decided I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to sit here and put up with feeling anxious. Yeah? I'm just going to sit here and put up with feeling anxious. I'm not going to try and get away from the anxiety. I'm just going to put up with that feeling. Putting up with that feeling for as long as you can, that builds resilience. Yeah? It builds resilience. Who wants to be resilient from anxiety? Want to be more resilient? It means you've got to just deal with it a little bit. Without saying or doing anything a little bit more. Just a little bit longer, Try pushing it a bit. Maybe what God was doing was He's showing me this huge bit of anxiety because we're just about to step into an even bigger season in our lives, in our ministry, in our church. We're about to move into something even more stressful, even more... Well, I'm quite a high-capacity guy, I can do things a lot, I can do a lot of stuff, but maybe we're just moving into an even bigger season and God needs to up my resilience so that in the next season I don't get burnt out. Does that make sense? So maybe it was a resilience building exercise. Who knows? Maybe God caused it, maybe I was just a muppet. Yeah? So how do we silence anxiety? Firstly, we take control of our breathing, we take control of our body. Then we take control of our thoughts. And then, once you've come past that, because that will pass, okay? That will pass with time. Those feelings will pass with time. It just happens. The cortisol levels go down because your body can't keep on producing it, okay? It just won't happen. Your body won't do it to you because it's dangerous, okay? So it will go back to normal eventually, okay? So the first thing you need to know is when you're feeling anxious, if you just wait, it will go back to normal, okay? It will go back to normal. Once it has gone back to normal, you need to start putting things in your life that help you to recognise the triggers of that anxiety. Yeah? So in Darren's life, what are the triggers of anxiety at the moment? Can you believe it? We're running 3 churches. I didn't think about this until last night when I was thinking about the talk. One of the reasons that I might be feeling a little bit stressed at the moment is because we're running 3 churches and we're just starting a 4th. Maybe that's part of the reason I felt stressed. Then we've got the buildings thing going on, and maybe I felt stressed about that. And then I went on holiday. You know, holidays are one of the most stressful things in your life. Did you know that? It's actual truth. I'm not even kidding. Actual truth. Holidays are one of the most stressful things in your life. And you think you're going away to get a rest. It takes you 2 weeks to come down off the high of going on holiday. You need to be there for at least a month, because otherwise you've got to come back again and start thinking about coming back. Yeah, so you're there for a couple of weeks, and then by then you've come down off it, and then, if you're only there for 3 weeks, you've got to start thinking about, I need to start packing because we're going home in a week. So, really, if you're going to take a decent holiday, you want a month off. Yeah, if you actually want to de-stress, you need a month. A week, you get more stressed. So I've entered into this place of we're doing this, and this, already done this, and this. These are the things that I feel are probably causing me to feel stressed, and maybe it's just bubbling over the top. But what happens is, there's other little bits and bobs that come into that equation as well. It could be, youth church, and I'm thinking, how are we just going to get these extra 15? How are we going to turn them into proper Christians? And all these little things, that just stress you out. And I don't mean to stress you out. It's not really a stressful thing, but when they all came together, old Gaza suddenly had a bit of a meltdown. And the truth is that sometimes our level of resilience can be like a little cup, a cup of tea, like a little teacup, and then stress is like a stone. And so if you drop a stone in a teacup, then guess what happens to the water? It all bubbles out over the sides, doesn't it? Yeah? Whereas, if your level of stress or your level of resilience to stress is as big as an ocean, and you drop your stone into the ocean, it does nothing, does it? On a windy day, it'll barely even make any ripples, will it? You know what I'm saying? So you build your resilience. Okay, and you look for triggers, and then what you do is you start getting your life rhythm good. Is that all right? I'm really aware it's now 11:30. I should have gone 2 minutes ago. So let me bring this to a close, and then we're going to sing that song again, Holy Ground. Is that all right? Has anyone learned anything today? Oh, you're cold? It's them footballers, mate. It's really warm at the front here. We could do some more heaters on probably next week. Okay, so. Oh, well, it's actually aircon in the new buildings. It's time for me to move on to go over to Birchwood to preach there as well. So let me bring this to a close. What is a healthy rhythm for your life? Anyone know what a healthy rhythm for your life is?
Hand all to God.
Hand all to God. Yeah, well, that's certainly one of the things that we can do when we're feeling anxious. Here you go. Worship, eat, sleep, repeat. Worship, eat, sleep, repeat. It's a rhythm, it's a way of life, it's a way of doing things. And certainly for me this week, I've suddenly realised, man, that's how we need to roll. Let's stand, shall we? And I'm going to pray for you guys. If you feel like you need prayer for anxiety, then I'm going to ask if maybe Harry can pray for you at the end of this service. So please feel free to respond and say, sometimes I really struggle with anxiety and I just need prayer for that. I want to enlarge my resilience for anxiety. Before I pray, let me just mention the Direction magazine this week. It's our Movements magazine. 20,000 readers or something crazy like that. So I'm told whenever I want to advertise in it. And this month it's all about mental health. So if you're interested in mental health or would just like to read some stuff on mental health, there's an article on resilience. It's good news, isn't it? Yeah, there's an article on burnout. There's an article on being healthy with your mental health. So please do grab that and have a read. We're going to pray, and then I'm going to invite Harry down here to come and lead the end of our service, and for you guys to receive prayer for anxiety. Asking God to come into your anxiety and to help you to be more resilient. Is that all right? Are we up for this, church? Let's close our eyes and think of God in this moment. Lord, I thank you that you love us and you care for us. I thank you that you've given us routines and principles for overcoming things like anxiety and depression. I thank you that in your word, there's one for every day, one verse for every day. Do not fear. Do not fear. Do not fear. Lord, I thank you for our amazing season that we're in. Even though it may feel like sometimes it just gets too much. Lord, I thank you for a moment of personal weakness that can allow me to minister to this church that you've given us to lead. Lord, I pray for all those guys that are suffering with anxiety daily. Quieten their hearts. Bring peace into their lives. Show them love and give them hope for tomorrow. This thing, anxiety, shall come to an end.